Hola muchachos, ¿qué tal? Buenos días, aquí tienen el horario para hoy, lunes el 7 de marzo. No homework was due for today, just to continue working on your Chapter 2 elective assessment, the 20 things you did over the course of a week or weekend, or the fashion profile. Learning targets for today: identify and employ direct object pronouns in Spanish to come up with more concise sentence structure and distinguish the use of ir and ser conjugations in the preterite to talk about where you went in the past. Your warm-up for today is a fill-in-the-blank warm-up, filling in the blank with the correct direct object pronouns, lo, la, los, or las. Using the notes from last class on direct object pronouns, a direct object tells who or what receives the action of the verb, to listen to what, to read what, to eat what. That what is what we call a direct object, and to avoid repeating a direct object noun, you can replace it with what's called a direct object pronoun. In English, these direct object pronouns are it, him, her, or them. In Spanish, lo and la are singular direct object pronouns, and los and las are plural direct object pronouns. And as we've seen in other grammatical concepts in Spanish, direct object pronouns have the same gender and number as the nouns they replace. So you should have a chart that looks similar to this, but masculine, feminine, singular, plural labeled on either side there. So using those notes, determine which direct object pronoun should be used for each of these sentences. For example, número 1, ¿encontraste el libro? No lo encontré. El libro is masculine singular. We know it's masculine because of the definite article el and also the o ending. We know it's singular because it doesn't end in s. So the masculine singular direct object pronoun would be lo. For the second example, ¿terminaste la composición? Did you finish the written piece? Ver, feminine singular, la composición. We know it's feminine singular because of the definite article la. The direct object pronoun that's feminine singular here would be la. So knock out your warm-up there. We're going to look at page 140 next. The grammar of irregular verbs ir and ser. We'll do a practice, exercise 15, on that same page, and then core workbook page 56 is going to be homework for Friday, but we're going to get a head start on it today. No homework for next class, just to continue working on your project. So let's take a look at the irregular verbs ir and ser. I do believe you already have these in your notes filled in here. This is the Introducción a Pretérito cheat sheet. And you already have those filled in, but for good measure, if you don't, you have the conjugations of both ir and ser in the preterite. Yo fui, tú fuiste, él, ella, usted fue, nosotros fuimos, ellos, ellas, ustedes fueron. So if you want to indicate where you went in the past or describe something, what something was like, these are the two verbs that we would use, and these are the conjugations that both of these verbs share. Ir is going to be used to talk about going places, so it's going to be associated with a location or a place. Ser, on the other hand, you're describing what something was like, so more often than not, it's going to be a descriptive adjective, right? So we're going to do exercise 15 as practice. And there's 3 things I want you to do for this exercise. For each of the blanks, I want you to determine whether the verb ir or ser should be used. I want you to tell me why the verb ir or ser is being used. What are the context clues? And then what's the correct form of whatever verb you choose, ir or ser. They're going to have the same conjugations regardless. So if we take a look at number 1, ayer fue un día bastante bueno para nosotros. Fue, because you're talking about yesterday. And the clue here to know that this is the verb ser would be bueno. Bueno is a descriptive adjective, means good. Descriptive adjectives are always going to be used with the verb ser. Correct answer again was fue. You're like, why fue? I thought nosotros was the subject. Nosotros is not the subject. Yesterday was a pretty good day for us. What was pretty good? Not us. Yesterday, and that is a singular subject, so we're using the third person singular, fue. Number 2, primero yo fui a la estación de servicio para llenar el tanque con gasolina. Fui in the yo form, and whether the verb ir or ser is being used, this is the verb ir, because estación de servicio is location. And you're going to see a lot of these in exercise 15 or references to location, and for that reason the verb ir is being used. Ir going with places or locations, ser being used for adjectives. So that's the practice that we'll do for together. The only other thing we have is core workbook page 56. There are 2 pages in this document, 56 and 57. Don't touch 57 yet. That will be corresponding with the notes that we'll take next class. So only 56 for right now. You can find a PDF copy of core workbook page 56 right here in the calendar. Pretty straightforward for part A. You guys are just filling in the blanks with the correct form of ir. All of these are using the verb ir because they're referencing going to places. So, for example, Teresa fue a la biblioteca, yo fui al banco, usted fue a la farmacia. For part B, you're putting together a full complete sentence given the picture provided to describe what these things were like in the past. For example, la obra fue larga. Make sure that your adjective agrees in both gender and number with the noun that you're describing. Let's take a look at what those nouns are. This would be la clase, right? La clase. Number 2, los libros. Los libros. Number 3, el juego. El juego. Number 4, la fiesta. La fiesta. And number 5, el arte. El arte. Maybe those are movies. I don't know. But we're going to go with art just to be safe. So for number 1, la clase is a singular subject. Go back to our notes here. We're talking about the class. So obviously not the yo or the tu form. We're going to use the el, usted form. That's how we got fue. La clase fue interesante would be the answer for number 1. Number 2, los libros is plural. We're not a part of the books, right? That's nosotros. We're going to use the ellos, ellas form because we're talking about a plural subject. Fueron. And then to make difícil plural, where am I? To make difícil plural, it ends in a consonant. So to make that adjective plural, because remember you have to have the correct form of the adjective, plural verb, plural subject, plural verb, plural adjective. To make that adjective plural, add es. Difíciles. And that is part B, y'all. Again, no homework at all due for next class. This workbook page you're not going to turn in until Friday's class, or Monday if you're a B-Day class. So just continue working on that project, the Chapter 2 elective assessment, and I'll see you guys soon. Ciao.